Okay, so I was going to make a short video showing you how to use text and adding multiple colors in the text, something like this, where you'd have multiple colors. But then I thought, well, what's the use of this? What would you use it for? And I was kind of testing out different things. And I thought, well, it kind of has a little bit of an 80s retro vibe. And that got me thinking, that I wanted to look up some 80s retro vibe stuff. So I did an image search and I came up with all this kind of style. So I started taking some cues from, you can see a lot of these have the sun with the lines going through them, or I guess it's the transparent lines, and then whatever behind shines through. A lot of the grid, I didn't do the grid in this one, although, maybe we can add something later on. That would be pretty easy to do. But I was trying to look at, and look at this here, this picture here, where you have the three different um, colors, starting the blue at the top and then white and then the hot pink, very neon kind of colors that were popular in the 80s. And of course you have the oranges and then the blues, the pinks and the yellows. And then you kind of have just a lot of them just fading into each other or glowing or blurry a little bit. Sometimes you have the hard edges here, but yeah, so I got this inspiration here, and then I made this here with that you saw in the intro. So I'm going to show you how to make this, and I'm going to try to do it as quickly as possible. So this is all going to be done in the VSE, the video sequence editor. So go ahead and open up a new video editing, and then I don't need to save that. And then I'm going to collapse this window into here. And let's just go ahead and start with the text. So I can add in by Shift A text and then grab this and pull it over here. I'm also going to go to View and uncheck Limit View to Contents. That way I can middle mouse button pull this up and down. Now I'm not going to go button by button, but I will turn on my screencast keys over here so you can see what I'm pressing. Okay, so so here is our text, and if we come over here, we can see the properties and stuff over here. I'm going to change this just a little bit here. We're going to bring this area here over. I'm going to click and drag from the corner and just pull this down. I'm going to do it again, but I'm going to pull up this time, and then we're going to click this icon and change this to the video sequencer. Make sure we have this pulled out a little bit more. Going to collapse the channels and press N, and then we have the same text options that we have over here. I'm going to press N to close that. Just we have more room to work with here. So I'm going to open up our font. If this doesn't pull up font, you'll have to navigate to your fonts folder first. And I'm going to choose, I think it was this one. So just double click it and then it should change it there. We can bring up the size like this. For now, I'm just going to type in 150. And then I'm going just to start with Valentine's. Valentine's. And then enter. Maybe we'll make this 200. There we go. So the next thing I'm going to do is just take this text here and press Control G and put it in a meta strip. And the reason I do that is with my meta strip, if I come over here and I move it and scale it and whatever and put it in our scene somewhere, and then I tab back in here, it's still right in the center, so that if I wanted to edit the colors and stuff inside, then I can do it from right smack dab in the center, which is much easier. And then I can just tab back out and it will still be placed where I want it in the scene. Now to undo this, I'm just going to Alt G to clear the location, and then Alt S to clear that scale, and then it's back to normal. So I'm going to select my metastrip, tab in here, and then we're going to mess with the color of our text. If I select it, of course we have the color here, but this is just one color and it's boring, so we want to add some spice into it. And the way we do that is we just use the white text as a mask. So if I grab it, I'll move that up, and then I will press page down to go to the beginning of the strip, Shift A and color, and we'll pull this up here like this. I'm going to Shift D to duplicate that down, and then the top color I am going to make white for now, and then I can hover my mouse over here, press G and then Y, press 540, enter. I have 1080 as my height, so I wanted to go up half that. Now what we're trying to do is we're trying to get 3 different colors in there, but I'm going to show you 2 first. So just we'll do let's see, blue at the top and then pink at the bottom. So let's do a bright neon-ish blue, and then let's do a bright hot pink, something like that. There we go. So this is what it's going to look like now. And if we take these two and then Control G and put them into a meta strip, then we can say, hey, we want to take this meta strip. If I shift and right click, we can just see that, or if I shift and right click, we can just see whichever strip that we shift and right click over. So we want to take this and say, we want to only show this meta strip where the text is, the white text mask. That's what we're going to use it for. So select the meta strip, come over to modifiers, add mask, and then choose our text. And you can't see anything now because, or you might be able to see it bleeding over the sides, but we have to hide this because it's on top. So if we press H to hide, now we can see that our metastrip is only showing where our text is. And so if we take our text and we actually move it, oh, we can't do it unless we unhide it. So let's Alt H, not double H. So if I move it over here and then I hide it, Control R to refresh, then it's going to move it up. And you can see now we can't see the pink because it's up here in the blue, and it doesn't move the colors with it. It's just moving the white text. If you want to move the colors with it, you have to do something else. So I'm going to undo this and go back to here. I'm going to hide this again. One thing that I can do is I can take the meta strip also and keep the text there, press G to grab, and you can see I'm moving the colors around. So I can place this, bring this down a little bit more to like right in the center of most of the text like that. And the nice thing about this is it's in a meta strip, which means if I tab in there, it's going to be still right in the middle, split down 50-50 with the colors. So let's go ahead while we're in here. I'm going to go back here and add in another color. I'm going to bring this up on top, and then select this, go to our strip tab, bring this all the way to white. Then I'm going to hover over here, press S to scale, press Y on the Y, and we're going to bring that all the way down, something like this. Okay, and so if we click out anywhere over here and then press tab, then we're going to go back out of the metastrip. So if you're not familiar with metastrips, you select it and tab to go in, and then make sure nothing is selected before you tab to go back out, or at least make sure if you have nested metastrips that a metastrip isn't already selected. So right now, if I press tab, I go into this one, and if I keep pressing tab, it's going to toggle back and forth. If I want to go out of the metastrip that I'm currently in, I have to click and then tab, and then that breaks me out all the way to the outside of everything. So metastrip tab, click this metastrip, and then tab to go in here. So now this is what we have. So you can already see we have 3 different colors, and we can actually take the metastrip too. We can scale this out here how we want and move it around. We can also rotate it if we wanted to rotate it. So you can see already we get some really cool effects this way. Alt S to clear that scale. I don't want to scale it here. We'll do Alt G also, and then I'm just going to bring this down here, something like this. And I'm going to make actually we're just going to Alt S this as well, because I'm going to show you a different way to do this. So let's go to rendering. I'm going to right click and then duplicate this, double click in here. I'm going to call this masking, and make sure we come over here to mask, and then make sure you have your render result checked, and come over here to your output properties all the way down to post processing. Make sure sequencer is checked. I'm also going to uncheck compositing. And then we can also go to render properties and down here color management, make sure this is sRGB standard so that all the colors are standard colors. Now if I press F12, you can see that is what we see over here. Now so we don't have to keep going back and forth, I'm going to drag out another window or area over here and then change this to the video sequencer. I'm going to pull this down like this. We're going to create another one, and this will be our sequencer down here, and then I'm going to change this to our preview so that we don't have to keep going back and forth between them when we are in our masking. And the reason we're doing this is because I'm going to come over here and then I'm going to take the color, the white color, and we can close this here. Press N to open up the properties, go to modifiers, and then we're going to add a mask. But if I come over here to mask and then mask, we don't have anything here to choose from. So let's come over here, and if I hover my mouse over here, scroll, let's create a new mask, and then I'm going to title this mask white. Okay, and so here's our 2D cursor. We're going to put this right in the middle by coming over here to view, X and Y, 0.5, put that right in the middle, and then we can either scroll back over here and press add, or we can come over here and just say Shift A, and we're going to add in a square. Okay, now I'm going to SX to scale on the X-axis, and I'm going to undo that just so you know how to scale in Blender. It's a little bit wonky. So if I start with my mouse cursor over here and press S, that's going to be hard to scale. But the closer I get, then it's easier and it's more powerful. It's more effective. But if I get too close, then it's really touchy. So a good distance away. So S and then X to scale it on the X. Maybe I'll get closer. Let's do like this, SX, and then yeah. So you can see how it's affecting that a lot more. Okay, and so if we want to see what the mask display looks like, we can scroll over here to mask display and check overlay. And anywhere the white is, this is going to be shown, and anywhere the black is, it's going to be invisible. So I'm going to go back out of that, and now we're ready. So if I just press F12, nothing happens because we haven't added the mask over here. So let's come back over here, mask white, and there you go. So now whatever shape or size this is, that's where the mask is going to be. And so if I come back over here and then tab out, you can see what we have here. And you can say, Justin, well, this was just exactly what we had before. Yes, but what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to fade it a little bit. So if we come back over here, you can see the retro here, the white strip that goes through this is kind of fading into the blue and into the pink. So let's scale this down on the Y, so make it a little bit more thin to get a good size. Come over here and then we can Control R to refresh. And then we can see what that looks like. Yeah, so that's good for a start. Come over back over here. Make sure everything is selected by pressing A, Alt S to scale that feather. Now if it goes inside, just come up here to mask and then choose switch direction. And then it will switch the direction from inside to outside. Okay, and then now if we come over here, we can press Control R and you can see it's starting to fade that. Now I could just take this and then scale on the Y like this to adjust that, but I'm going to actually just scale this. So we can see what we see over here. Just hover over here, press F12, and that will render a single image, and then we can place it better here. So if we GY and then put that here, maybe SY will scale that in, something like this. Maybe Alt S again to scale the feather down a little bit more too. Okay, F12, and we'll see what that's looking like. Okay, well, so it's a little bit lower because I have moved this lower over here. So we're just going to do Alt G here. There we go. And now F12 back over here, we can see our fade. Okay, that's probably not the best way then to do that because we want to keep this right in the center. So I kind of forgot about that. So I'm going to undo this a little bit here to where we moved that. So keep it in the center here like this, and S to scale the feather a little bit. F12, there we go. And then again, keep moving this here out in the meta strip. Let's get rid of this so that we can adjust the position on the Y here, so it's more in the center. But to adjust the size of it, we can scale here and Control R, refresh, see what that looks like. Yeah, that's looking pretty good so far. You can, mess with the feather and see, what kind of blur you like. But actually, I kind of like that So we're going to keep it like this for now. So that's good. I'm going to save it. I'm going to come back to the video editing, and yeah, so that's looking pretty good. So I'm going to move this up here, and then I'm going to take the text, Shift D, move that down here, because what we're going to do with this is we're going to make an outline. And the way we do this is by adding an effect strip Gaussian blur. I know you wouldn't think so, but I'm going to go ahead and hide this for now so that we can see what's going on. So our Gaussian blur is the only thing that is visible. I'm going to take this size and I'm going to type in 5. And you say, well, that doesn't really do anything. It's like, well, not yet, but if I unhide this now, Alt H, and then I take my Gaussian blur and my text and I put those two in a meta strip. And then I come to color and multiply, and I pull this up. Now you can see, look at that. It's having an effect. The more I pull that up, we'll just go to 10. Now we have this nice white outline. And you can also play with the blur too. So, you know, the more blur you have, the softer that's going to be, but the more prominent you can see there. And I can maybe back this off, but see, if I start backing it off, then you get the edges are kind of blurry, and I want to try not to blur stuff too much. So maybe I can go down to, let's see, let's do like 7. Do 7 there, and then we can adjust this accordingly. Yeah, that's good enough for now. Well, we can adjust it later too when we have it overlaying on top of other things. Perfect. Okay, so this is our Valentine's text. Now I'm just going to take the Valentine's, just the text, Control C to copy that, click to deselect everything, tab out, and then Control V to paste this. And then we're going to hide this. Let's actually call this Meta Valentine's. And to reiterate what I was saying before, see, now that I have this all ready to go, I can click and drag and move that all around in the meta strip. I can scale it, move it wherever I want, and then if I want to edit it for any reason, I tab into the meta strip, boom, it's back in the middle. Everything is good to go for me to adjust the colors and stuff if I wanted to. In fact, I think I am going to scale this down just a little bit on the Y. Yeah, that looks a little bit better. Okay, and then back out here, Alt G, Alt S, because I want it directly in the middle still, and we're going to hide it. Okay, unhide this one, and then I'm going to type happy here. We're going to focus on this first. And for this one, we're going to do something that is like this, which is really easy. Basically, we're just going to copy the text and change the color. Duplicate the text up. Top one's going to be white. Bottom one is going to be a hot pink. And then I'm just going to take the bottom one, hover my mouse over here, G to grab, and then move this down, something like that. And then we're going to take this, Control G, put that in a meta strip. This will be meta happy. Ta-da! And then we're done with that, so we can hide that. And Valentine's, we're actually going to make the day the same color as Valentine's, so we'll mess with that later. But now let's make the heart animation. And the way we do this, I'm going to actually make a new scene. We're just going to call this main, and then we're going to make a copy settings, and this will be heart. So it copies all our settings, but there's nothing in our sequencer. It's empty now. So let's go back to the beginning, add in a color, bring this up a little bit just so that we have more room to work with. All right, something like this. Now let's go back to masking, and I'm going to pull this over here. We're going to make a new mask by clicking this button here. This will be mask heart. And the way you make a heart is we add in a circle, scale this up here like this, and then with everything still selected, press V and then choose free. And then select these two, shift select those handles there, press G, Y, and then 2, and that's way too far, so escape out of that. So G, Y, and then 0.02? Oh, that's too little. Okay. G, Y.1. There we go. I like that. GY.1, and then GY and pull that down a little bit. So that's a little bit more heart shape-y. Maybe pull that up a little bit more. And the same thing here, we're going to bring this down, and then we're going to do the same thing here. Shift select those, GY 0.1, and this is up to you depending on the shape you want your heart to be. So I'm going to do GY 0.02, and then I'm going to take this one, G and then X 0.05. Okay, yeah, that's all right. GX negative 0.05. And the reason I'm doing it like this instead of clicking and dragging them is because I want it to be accurate. I want it to be a specific heart shape. Let's take these two here and then scale them down in a little bit. I guess we could also take these, and actually that would be easier, just scale them on the X in or out. Yeah, okay, that's actually a lot easier. Well, there you go. There's multiple ways you can do that there. Let's see what we have with our overlay, and then turn off the spline. It's not quite the heart that I was going for. So that's kind of more of what so okay, then let's take this and we'll pull this down a little bit more. There we go. And then we can just take these, shift select those, and then pull those up together like this, and then scale them on the X, and we can scale them in towards each other. Yeah, there we go, something like this. We could do it out more like this, and then maybe take these and then grab and move those down. Oh yeah, here we go. We're getting somewhere. We're getting somewhere. Maybe take these, grab and move those up. It's not as nice as I got this one to be. There we go. That's good enough, I think, for our purposes. So let's select everything. I'm going to grab that, move that up more towards the center. It doesn't have to be perfect. But there we go. There is our heart mask. And now if we come back to video editing and we duplicate this up, change the top one to white, and then go to modifiers, add strip modifier mask, mask, and mask heart. Ta-da! Now we have our mask heart, which I'm probably going to tweak it a little bit later because that's kind of bugging me. The shape is bugging me. Anyway, to make the lines that go up, we're going to make a little bit of an animation. We're going to take the black one, duplicate this one up, but I'm going to change the color temporarily here to something that we can see easily. And then we're going to scale this on the Y down to maybe like this. Bring it down here. We're going to start down here. And then we're going to add a keyframe on the transform on the Y because we're going to move it from here and we're going to go up. So keyframe, and then I don't know how many seconds do we want. Let's see. Well, actually, let's do frames. So Control T will toggle back and forth between time and frames. I think what I did before is about 210. Now this is going to take a lot of tweaking. I'll try not to do too much tweaking. Okay, Shift S to snap those there. And actually, we're going to pull this out past that. But 210 for now, because on 210, I'm going to pull this all the way up here, and I'm going to right click to cancel that, because before that I'm going to also I need to put a keyframe at the beginning here on the scale on the Y, because we're going to make it thinner as we go up. So then go to 210, and I'm going to bring this up here, something like this, and then SY to scale this down really tiny, something like that, and then we're going to add 2 keyframes there. So then this is what it looks like. Starts down here, and then it goes up, and it gets thinner as it goes up, as it goes up, as it goes up, and like that. And then it stops. But we want this to cycle. So let's go over here and Control N, and then let's select this. I'm going to pull this up. We're going to change the timeline to the graph editor. Hover over here, press Home. And so here is our translate. We have our scale and our translate. So I'm going to hide the scale for now. We're just going to work on the translate going the movement. So we're going to extrapolate this or make cyclic. So hover over here, press A, press Shift E, and then choose Make Cyclic. So now you can see this is going over and over and over again, except for I didn't make the um, scale cyclic. So we need to do that also. So undo all that. I'm going to show the scale and then click normalize here and then press home. So now we can see both of them kind of at the same size. Otherwise, they're proportionally very different from each other. This just normalizes it so we can maneuver these easier. So with all of these selected, press A, Shift E, make cyclic, and now all of them are cyclic. So as it goes up, it just keeps on going up, 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 and over, up, 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 and away. I'm going to drag out another one of these. We're going to put this timeline back. Okay, I'm going to drag the end frame way away so that we can see the effect that this is having. Now this is going pretty slow, you might think, but when we, let's see, let's take these and just pull those out too. When we add more, you'll see the effect that we're going for. You would think that it's slow, but when you get a lot of them together, it looks faster than it originally did. So this is, I found, to be a good speed. So now I'm just going to take the top color, which is the green one, and duplicate that up. Let's go back to the beginning. So I want this to come in maybe right here. So that's 70 frames in. So I'm going to take this, Shift S to snap that, and then that's, and it's kind of blinking there, you can see. Control R will refresh that. But that's still too far away, so I want to take this, let's go back to 70. I'm going to take the top color, grab, and then just move that because I want that to start coming in right about there. That's a good space in between that. So now the true one is 49. We're just going to make this 50 just to keep it even-ish. Okay, so this is all right, but the problem here is that they're staying the same width apart. They're not getting any closer together. Okay, Justin from the future, and when I was editing, my explanation was a little bit convoluted, so I'm going to try to clean it up here a bit. But we're going to close this gap here at the top, and so we have to do a couple of things. The first thing we need to do is adjust our curves down here. So let's bring this up, and let's go to where it comes up here. We want to close this gap here at the top between them. So let's pull this up, and we want to select this one and then shift select this one because we want to adjust the handles for both of them at the same time. But this is too much because we don't want the scale, just the translate, so hide the scale. And then hover your mouse, press V, and then make sure the keyframe handle type is free. Now you can notice if we select a point, then we can only see the handles of the point that we have selected. So to make this easier, let's go to View and then uncheck Only Selected Keyframe Handles. And now we can see all of the handles, and that's going to be easier for our adjustment. So with our timeline cursor about right here, let's take these two handles, adjust them GY, up like this, but don't go higher than the keyframes themselves, just stay like this. We can also do GX and pull them out. So you can see that gap is already closing right there. And then let's see what we have down below. Now see, it's changed it down below. Now I could come down here and change these two and do the same thing. And I can just press G and then just free move them here, but they're not getting to the close proximity that I want at this stage. So let's go page down. So about right here is when I want the other one to come in. So what I'll have to do is take the top one and then G and grab that and move that in to make sure we have a gap like this. And then we can see what that looks like. All right. And you can see they even it even gets wider and then it closes up. And that's because our curves here. So we don't want that. We want to pull these up so it's just one continuous curve, not an S curve, because an S curve is going to go wider and then shorter. So let's shift select both of these again with these handles selected. We're just going to make sure that it does go in and up. It just starts from here and goes up in a single curve. So let's see what that looks like. Okay, and that's okay, but it's moved this down here. So we're going to take the top one, we're going to G to grab and move that up, something like this. Yeah, maybe move this out a little bit more, something like that. And maybe even take these and adjust those a little bit more. Yeah, so I like this. This is not too bad. But in order for us not to break the cyclic animation that continues to go on, we have to do one more step. And we have to take into account the frame range of the cycle. So right now, if we select the bottom one, it is from frame 1 to frame 210. And then the cycle starts over, which means that we need this gap to be a division or a multiple of 210. So let's see what it is now. Page down, and we are on frame 31 here. But that's not a 31 frame gap, that's the current frame, but the gap is from here to here, and remember here starts on frame 1. So technically it's a 30 frame gap. So if I come back to here, we can see this by selecting the bottom one and then scrolling down to our time here, just open that up, and you can see right here the current frame is 30. Now that's 30 from whatever we have selected. So if I select this one, you can see it's 0 because this is at the 0 mark of the active strip. But if I select this one, it means that there are 30 frames from the beginning of the active strip to the current frame. So let's take our calculator, 210 divided by 30. Yes, and it is a multiple of 30. It's an even 7 or an odd 7, but it is a multiple, so we're good there. But if you had any other ones, so if you were 38 and you did that, you would do the same thing, 210 divided by 38. And then you can see, okay, we got 5.5 here, and you could either go down or up. You could say, okay, well, let's round up to 6. So then we can do 210 divided by 6, and that's 35. So then what you could do is you could be like, okay, well, we want the gap to be 35, and actually this would have been 37 anyway. But no matter, we can do here and then just arrow over till we see 35 down here. So that's a 35 frame gap. And then we can Shift S to snap that there. And now we want to create 6 of these here. But again, this doesn't line up to what the spacing that I had it. It's actually closer to the 30 frame gap, which is at 31 here. So like this. And if I select this one, there's a 30 frame gap, which means we need 7 of these. I'll Control R to refresh that. Okay, make sure that's okay. All right, so we need 7 of them. Let's make some room. So we can just box select these two, Shift D, and then hold Control to snap to the end of the strip here. And with them both still selected, press G and then 30. So we're just grabbing them and moving them 30. So now we're maintaining that 30 frame gap for all of these. So now we've got 4 of them. Just duplicate 3 more, Shift D, and then snap these here, and then grab 30 there. And now we have all of them with a 30 frame gap, and it will cycle over and over and over evenly, endlessly, in the way and in the spacing that we want, just like that. And it will go over and over and over until we end it ourselves. So let's see how long we want. So I'm going to start with the first cycle. So all of them are there. So I'm going to select the last strip we have here, and then I'm going to watch my current frame and see the time. 6 seconds. Let's just do, I guess we can go to 10 seconds. We don't really need too much more than that. So if I press Control End, that'll be my end frame. And and we can see how that looks. And I do want to keep the start of this here, just in case for stylized reasons later I want to add some, different things to it. But generally, I'm just going to have it start where you already see all the lines. So something like that. Okay, of course, we don't want these to be green. We want this to be a black and white mask. So let's take one of these colors, make it active, and then just box select the rest of them. And then scroll up here and then change this one to black. And then right click here and select copy to selected. Now it's all black, and if I uncheck my overlays, we can see we have this black and white mask here. And it's just repeating over and over and over like this. So let's render this out. Let's go to rendering, and then we can pull this up, hover over here, press home, and let's just press F12 on some just random ones here, just to make sure that we are seeing what is expected to be seen. That looks pretty good. Okay, now let's go to our output properties. Everything up here is good. Our resolution and aspect ratio, frame rate, and all that stuff is the same. That's good. Double / graphics for the folder, and then another /, and inside the folder, we're just going to call this heart_mask.mp4. And then come to here, make sure this says FFmpeg video. Now you can do a JPEG or a PNG or some sort of image sequence. That's up to you. I'm going to do the video, black and white. And then color management, make sure this says sRGB and standard. If it doesn't, you can click override and change it here. And then for the encoding, MPEG-4, and then everything here is basically the default. It's H.264, medium quality good. This is your preference. I'm going to let you choose that. There is no audio here, so I'm going to choose no audio. And that is it. I'm going to save it. And now we're ready to render it out. So I can come up here to render and then render animation, or Control F12 is the shortcut. All right, it's finished now. Let's go to the main scene here and go back to video editing, and let's zoom in here. Okay, let's add in our movie graphics, heart mask, boom, and we have that here like this. And press play, you can see we have a black and white mask that looks like this. Of course, we don't want it to stay black and white, so what we can do is just show you what was going to happen here. We add in a color, again, pull that up here. Let's change this to, I don't know, a red for now, like a red heart. And then we're going to go to modifiers, add strip modifier, mask. And then for the strip mask, we're going to use our heart MP4, make sure that says strip. And then, of course, we got to hide our mask. And now you can see what's happening here. If we make that a little bit bigger here. Ta-da! And of course, this will be overlaid on top of our background, which we'll get to in a little bit. But I don't want this to be just a solid color either. I actually want this to be a gradient. So let's see, we have our red. So make sure, I'm just going to pull that down. This is what red should look like with the HSV. Duplicate this down, and then on the top one is actually going to be red. Let's hide this one. This is going to be a yellowish color, or whatever color you want, to like a light yellowish color like this. And then this one we're going to put like a little gradient. So unhide that and go to our masking. For now, I'm going to get rid of this strip mask. So we're just going to have the color here so that we can see that easier. And then we're going to come over here and create a new mask, and this, we'll call this mask_grad for gradient. Shift A to add in a square. And then, oh, let's see, I don't want the display overlay on anymore. Take the top two here, X to delete, A to select everything, and S to scale. GY to bring this down, and then Alt S to scale that feather, but it's still looping. So bring this back over here and then uncheck cyclic. Okay, and then we press Alt S and scale this up. And I did this for my Christmas motion graphic tutorial. If you haven't seen that, I suggest watching that as well. A lot of tips and tricks in there. Okay, so our mask gradient, we need to apply that to our color. So select the color strip and then modifiers, add strip modifier, mask, mask, and mask gradient. And there we go. Now we have that. Oh yeah, we need to get rid of that. There we go. So let's go ahead and add the heart onto as another mask in here. So heart mask, and then same thing here. Heart mask. So there we go. There's our gradient. And now we have the heart mask affecting our gradient. Okay. And so now what I want to do is let's line these up here. Let's also pull these to here. I'm just pressing Control and then it will snap to points of interest. Okay, if I take these and I put them into a meta strip, Control G, then I duplicate these. What I want to do next is add that little glow around there. It's not technically a glow. What I do is make it a blur. So add an effect strip Gaussian blur and then hide this bottom strip here because this contains all the information that we need. Okay, go to our strip tab and then let's do 50 S to scale that up. Yeah, something like this. And you can make that as blurry as you want, something like that. So that now looks like a little bit of a glow. Maybe not that much. Maybe we'll do, I don't know, 75. Yeah, that looks good, like that. And then that's going to last for the whole. Now it gets a little choppy because a lot of information Blender's trying to calculate all at once. So let's change our view to 25%. It's going to change the look a little bit. Don't worry about that. We just want to see what it's going to possibly look like in real time. So something like that. All right, but I'm not going to start this until we like right here. I said I wasn't going to make a lot of meta strips, but I'm still going to put this one in a meta strip so that we can have a little bit easier of a time with this. So let's see, yeah, maybe right here. I'll take this, snap it there, and we'll pull this all the way to the beginning. Okay, let's just kind of see what's happening here. So the heart is going to go below, and these are going to go above. So Valentine's happy is going to go on top. Unhide these, and then we're going to move them around. So let's take this one and move the Valentine's Day down. Actually, let's go to 100% so we can actually get a real representation of what we're seeing here. Yeah, so something like that. I can also take this, scale that heart up just a little bit. Also maybe move it up. There we go, something like that. Take this, duplicate this down, and grab that, move that down a little bit. We have to tab in here and change the text to day, but we have to also change it in our Gaussian blur here. So that is Control R to refresh. Yes, there we go. And tab out. There we go. And we're going to want to resize this, I think. And then we'll bring this up a little bit more. Scale that down, bring that up a little bit more like that. And then we're going to bring the happy up like that. Maybe scale that down just a tad. Awesome. Okay, so let's get a color down here. I'm going to add in color, and I had like a nice blue here, and you can put whatever, and you can put gradients here on this too. I'm not going to do all of that, so I had something. Ooh, gross. Um, I like the darker color there. That's good enough there, I think. So then let's pull this to the beginning. Let's pull these to the beginning. And you got to be careful with meta strips when in this version of Blender I'm using 3.3.3. So I'm extending this out, which should work, but sometimes it's glitchy because you can see the actual information stops here, but it still should hang on this last frame. So that's working. Looks like it's working all right. Okay, let's see how we're looking with the one that I had before. So it's similar. It's similar. This is a little bit darker here. Let's see, what do I like better? Oh, I do like this color as the pink, the darker pink. Let's do that. Let's go over here, and I'm just gonna scale this on the Y. Scale that down a little bit more. Yeah, that looks all right. And we'll do the same thing with day. Oh, let's change the name here to meta day. And scale this on the Y down a little bit. And I'm going to bring that up too, just a little bit, something like that. Yeah, maybe bring this down a little bit darker. Okay, last thing we want to do is make the little glitch that kind of goes over the text. And for this, I'm actually going to take the bottom two here and hide them. We're just going to save this out as an image, and we're going to replace that. Go to rendering, F12 as a single image, and then I'm going to save this as a single image. We'll do it in our graphics. We'll say Happy Val Day text. We want that to be PNG, and then RGBA for alpha. That's very important for the transparency. And now when we come back over to video editing, we can actually just either hide or delete these here, and then bring in our text image here. Bring that all the way to the top. And the reason I'm going to do it like this is because it's just easier. Instead of having to do it for all three of these, we're doing it for all of them at the same time. Blender's going to have a lot more calculation power with just a single image. So I'm going to take this, pull it over here, because we're not going to need those. Pull this down, duplicate it up, and then with the top one, I'm just going to scale just ever so slightly up. And I'm also going to grab and move that up a little bit. Not a whole lot, just something like that. So you can see it's a little bit bigger and a little bit more out of place. And then we're going to use a mask, and we're going to animate a mask to go across here that will reveal the text on top. So I don't want that to happen for a while, maybe 2 seconds in. So I'll take this handle and snap it there. And then we'll add in a color here. Make this white. Scale that on the X in like this. Depending on how much of it you want to be revealed, let's just do that, that's fine. And then I'm going to also rotate it here like this. And then scale on the Y up. There we go. So hit Y twice, and then it will go according to the object. Okay, so just scale it up like this. I'm going to grab it and move it all the way over here like this. All right, and then right here, we're going to create a keyframe on the X. And then how fast do I want it to? Maybe 2 seconds? I don't know, that might be too fast or too slow. I don't know. So 2 seconds later, I'm going to do grab X and then move this all the way over here like this, and then put another keyframe. And you can see what's happening here. We have this. Like I said, we're going to use this as a mask for the big text here. So I'm going to say Happy Val text big, and then this one is going to be small. So this is going to be big add, and we're going to hide that, and then choose this. Modifiers, add strip modifier mask, big add, refresh that. There we go. And then we have our little glitch that's going over it. Like that. Cool, let's do the same thing with the heart. So let's just take our text and we're gonna hide that. Unhide our heart. Shift D to duplicate that. Up. I'm gonna unhide this so that I can page down to this beginning of that strip. And take this handle, Shift S to snap that here. And then I'm gonna duplicate this up because I don't want it to go the same way, because I mean I can. And if I use the same one here, if I say mask and then big add, then it will use that. Oh, but I have to make it bigger. So let's go page down. Let's go to 25 so that we can. Huh, why am I not seeing that? Oh, let's hide that there. There we go. Okay, so make this a little bit bigger. How big is up to you. There we go. And now having the big add on, unhide this. And now it will do the same thing for all of them. But that's, that's okay. But then you can see it just looks like this wipe that goes across. But it looks more like a glitch if you have the heart and the text go opposite directions, which is what I did in the other one. So I'm just going to hide this for now, and we're going to do a big add, call this REV for reverse, and I'm just going to take this and we're going to say mirror on the X. And if I control R and then meta strip modifiers, change this to big add reverse, there you can see it's reversed it. Now it's going to go this way. You can see like just like that. Awesome. So let's go back to 25%. Let's unhide these and see what we have. Oh, let's unhide this as well. Now we have something like that. I was gonna say that looks like it has a lot more glow, but it's because it's not 100%. So there we go. That's what the 100% is going to look like. And of course, you can mess around with this, the placement of these if you want, or the scale, of course. And then I don't know if I like this color like that. Let's mess with the hue also. I don't know. I like that. think I like the blue. I guess we can desaturate it a little bit if we wanted. 80s vibe is like very bold. But anyway, there you go. That is how you create a Valentine's Day motion graphic for Retro's 80s style. Now you can cut this off and make this a meta strip and make it loop, and then add music and make this a whole thing, just like the one that I previously made, which you can see again here.